Body, this Jose with Oakland Latinos Unidos, aka Oakland Latinos United, on here with a new video for you guys to enjoy. The first video of the year 2024. And hopefully I'll be making a lot more videos this year. You know what I mean? I'm going to push myself to keep my channel active because I have been a little silent in a while and I need to come out of my cocoon and make more stuff again on this channel. But other than that, hopefully everybody's been having a good year so far. Hopefully you haven't missed me too much. I'm back on here with a new video, like I said. And I want to talk about an incident that happened in the Bay Area earlier this month in January, because we are in January. What's the January today? Today is January, what's the date today as I make this video? January 29th. So this happened earlier this month, earlier this year. And apparently there was a guy. And the thing is, I didn't really want to make this video, or at least this reaction, because this is kind of like a reaction video to a degree, and a historical video, a little bit of everything. I didn't want to do it because I don't know much about this dude. I don't know what his angle is. I don't know what his purpose is. I don't know what his purpose of coming to the Bay Area was. I really don't know much about him, so this video is probably going to be more about the Bay Area than about the person in question. Let's just put it like that. But those of you who've heard out there on IG or maybe TikTok or whatever, there is a dude named Keith Lee. And apparently, and I never heard of this dude. I'm going to keep it real with you. I've never heard of this dude until all this went down. Apparently, his name is Keith Lee. I looked up a little bit into him. Looks like he's a former mixed martial artist, you know what I mean, a fighter. And I guess he's a food critic of some sort, you know what I mean? And I guess he has a pretty big following online. And I'm assuming, I don't know, I think he goes city to city trying different foods. I guess he's a food critic, you know what I mean? And I really honestly don't know what it means to be a food critic because so many food critics criticize different things and different aspects of food. I'm not sure if food critics are supposed to criticize everything or fancy stuff or not fancy stuff. I don't know. I'm not a food critic, so I have no clue what the point of being a food critic is. But anyway, this dude is a food critic. Now, he's out of, supposedly what I read, I don't know if he grew up there, but he's from Detroit, Michigan originally. And I guess he did a tour of the Bay Area. And I guess he tried different foods out here, different restaurants, and had a bad experience. And he made a video saying that, his tour of the Bay Area was disappointing, that the Bay Area doesn't look safe, that it's not safe for tourists, you know what I mean, that the restaurants he went to weren't highly expected or highly what he thought, and so forth. Now, again, I don't know this dude's angle. I don't know if he critiques only African American owned restaurants. I don't know if he goes to all restaurants regardless of race. And if he does only do African American or black owned restaurants, that's dope. You know what I mean? Black man supporting black businesses. That's awesome. Like me, I'm not a food critic, but I do shorts at many of the local Latino businesses in the Bay Area. You feel me? Because that's my people. And yeah, I want my people to support my people. But, if that's his angle, hey, it's all good. But I guess for whatever he came to the Bay Area, he just didn't like it. He said he didn't feel safe. He got sick because he had a food allergy. He has like an allergy to shellfish. And even if the grill had shellfish on it before, he'll still get sick, and so forth. And, there's a lot of theories of why he didn't like the Bay Area. Some people say he got pressed. Some people say he got whipped. Some people say he got hit up or pressed again. Some people say maybe because he went to the wrong places. Some people tagged him to some janky places. Some say that he went to places like in the Tenderloin and some of the most ghettoest hoods. I know he was in West Oakland. And that's the hood. And a lot of different reasons. Without a list of places he went to, because he probably went to places I know. I can't tell you if he was genuine or not, or if he was just, ragging on the Bay Area. But, there is some uncomfortable truths in what he says. And I think there is also some, like, dissing the Bay to a degree. You know what I mean? Not giving it its proper chance. You know what I mean? And, the Bay Area is worldwide known for its cuisine. You know what I mean? Many, including Anthony Bourdain, came to the Bay Area. Anthony Bourdain showed love to the taco trucks in Fruitvale in Oakland. So, you know what I mean? So a lot of people have given the Bay Area its credit when it comes to food, whether it be Chinese food, whether it be Asian food, even Mexican food, even Central American food. Now you're starting to have more South American food in the Bay Area as well. You know what I mean? And you have American cuisine as well, clam chowder and various other things, prime rib and other things that have been popular here in the Bay Area, sourdough bread, etc. And the Bay Area is a very influential place, for sure. Now, in my bias, yeah, the food of the Bay Area is great. That's my bias because I'm from here and this is all I know. The only time I've never really spent time in the Bay Area was when I lived in Sacramento for 3 years, but Sacramento's only an hour away, so I was nearby. But I'm a native of the Bay. I've lived here all my life. And at least to me, the restaurants that I go to them because I like them. And they're good to me. And if I go to another city like Sacramento, Stockton, LA, Modesto, Kansas City, New York, wherever, if there's good food, period. That's the way I look at it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to knock it as long as it's good. But what I was going to say, there were some uncomfortable truths that, yeah, the Bay Area has been going through trials and tribulations, a lot of problems lately. But, as someone who was born and raised here, a native of the Bay Area, it's nothing new, unfortunately. I hate to say it. Oakland, my hometown, has been bad and violent and, criminally minded as far back as I can remember. I'm 46 years old. I can remember being maybe 7, 8 years old, 1985, 1986, hearing on the news, Oakland's crime is out of control. So, it's nothing new. I can remember it being 1989, 1990, you know what I mean? And the news saying that the homicide rate in Oakland or in EPA or in Richmond was in the triple digits, you know what I mean? It's nothing new. Bipping, as they call it now, breaking into cars, that's completely not new. They've been doing that as far back as I can remember. I remember fools doing that in my neighborhood where I grew up. It wasn't fools from our neighborhood, it was people that would come from other places, but that's been going on forever. Now, I would say, as far as homeless goes, I think homelessness has been around for a long time as well. It was around then, just like it's around now. I would say the big difference was that then it was only centered in certain locations. Yeah, there might be a homeless dude here and there in the neighborhood, you know what I mean? But, if you really wanted to see homelessness, you had to go, to the Tenderloin or to certain parts of Oakland, you know what I mean? But there definitely weren't homeless encampments on every corner. And just like this dystopian end of the world look that you see now, especially in Oakland, which is terrible and god awful, you know what I mean? You definitely didn't see that. But homelessness has been around for a long time. And my whole point in that is that, that Keith Lee dude said that it seemed like the Bay Area wasn't safe for tourists. And I don't know how I feel about that, honestly, as an insider. I mean, I could see plenty of places you could go to in the Bay and you're probably going to be fine. As long as you're not dumb, as long as you're not, you don't hold your guard down, as long as you're not wearing something valuable or leave valuables in your car, you'll be safe. I think for the most part, the Bay Area is somewhat a safe place for tourists, depending on where you go. You know what I mean? But definitely, there are hoods, there are bad areas in the Bay Area, there are places that you should avoid. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that every single place in the Bay Area is bad. That's far from the truth. Now, I think a big difference between like the 80s and 90s to now is that back then, yeah, if you were bipping, if you were robbing people, if you were shooting people, if you were selling dope, if you were gangbanging, it was easier to get away with it, but it was if you got caught, the consequences were heavier then, if that makes sense. What I mean by easier to get away with, back then there weren't cameras on every corner. There weren't, today you do anything, you're going to get filmed, whether it's people with cameras, whether it's cameras in buildings, whether it's cameras on the streets. You got cameras everywhere. That didn't exist back then as much. Some places had cameras, but let's keep it real. The only places that really had cameras back then were like government buildings and maybe like banks. You know what I mean? Even malls I don't think had cameras then. But now you have cameras everywhere. You know what I mean? But back then, you may not have had cameras, but if you got caught, the laws were way more stricter back then. You had 3 strikes laws, you had gang injunction laws, you had drug laws, you had all kinds of stuff. They would throw the book at you. So people were a little bit more hesitant back in those days. Even though crimes were still out of control, people were a little bit more hesitant. Now, in today's world, yes, everything's being filmed and you will get caught if you're doing something dumb out there. The thing is, I think at least in the Bay Area and California, there's a lot of lax laws on crime these days. And, they're not prosecuting people the way they used to. That's why a lot of dudes feel that they could just shoplift, bip cars, rob people, even kill people, and get away with it because they're not scared of repercussions. And people claim that the defund the police thing happened and that made the police less able to do things. That I don't know. I haven't seen too many studies on that, so I'm not too familiar with that. But that's what they say. And the perception is that it's a free-for-all, I guess, a purge, I guess. You know what I mean? And, yeah, there are things that are bad out there. I ain't gonna lie. There are things that need to be fixed out there. There are problems that need to be fixed. You have gentrification, you have poverty, you have the haves and the have-nots. You know what I mean? You have drugs, fentanyl. You know what I mean? You have drug addiction. You have, crisis-level homelessness out there. And if there's just no solution, man, the problems are going to keep getting worse. You know what I mean? I don't see how they're going to fix the problem, but hopefully someone in government or somewhere wakes up and fixes this problem. But, yeah, I would say Keith Lee had some points, but I think for whatever reason, his experience in the Bay Area wasn't that great, and it just left a bad taste in his mouth. And he didn't like it, And it's kind of weird that the only taco place he gave good ratings for was a place that was tacos made by a non-Mexican, which if in West Oakland, which makes no sense whatsoever, but whatever. Again, I don't know if that's what he's promoting, his own people, and that's fine if he is, but yeah, if I'm going to get tacos, I'm going to my hood, to Fruitvale. I'm going to the Mission. I'm going to San Jose. I'm going to 8th Street in Hayward. I'm going to Monument in Concord. I'm going to go to where the raza's at, you feel me? 23rd in Richmond, And there's plenty of good Mexican food out here in the Bay Area. Don't let these outsiders tell you there's not. There is. Trust me. But, the Bay Area is my home. And regardless of what some outsider says about us, the Bay is the Bay, bro. It is what it is. Like it. And if you don't like it, well, then stay away from the Bay. You feel me? That's all I can tell you. All right, y'all. This is Jose, Oakland Latinos United. Over and out.